Yeah, new ad that dropped from Nike, a LeBron James Nike commercial. Okay, I'm going to let you watch that commercial and I'm going to respond to it. But my reasoning here is that Nike dropped this exact commercial with this exact wording for LeBron James, knowing that there's going to be so much pushback and reaction that it's just going to bring a lot of focus to Nike, because there's so much wrong with what's being said in that ad, and so much untruth and just narratives that it's ridiculous. Let me show you this ad and let me reply to it right after. Here you go.
They called him the chosen one. He carried the weight of every expectation on his shoulders. But he never broke. We were all witnesses. Every rival was defeated. Every idol was destroyed. He took the crown and kept it. Behold the greatness. He is the forever king.
They want you to believe the crown is welded to his head. That's the vibe, right? Forever king. Never broke. Defeated every rival. And then the internet does what the internet does best. It hits pause, rewinds the tape, and says, hold up. Because while Nike is busy carving a statue, fans, former players, and anyone with a memory longer than a TikTok are pointing at the cracks. And now we've got a new layer of drama. LeBron James training with a big Clippers logo hovering in the background. Is that just a gym? Or is that a flare fired straight over the Lakers front office? Yes, that Nike ad you just watched, the chest-thumping poem to immortality, is real. Yes, the workout clip with the Clippers insignia is real. And yes, the reaction hasn't been worship, it's been whiplash. Here's the contrarian twist nobody in the glossy boardroom wanted to hear. When you have to tell people you're unbreakable, it's usually because something already snapped. Quick proof? A 4-6 record in the NBA Finals, 21 seasons with 4 titles, and a Hall of Famer named Kevin Garnett calmly reminding the world, we broke LeBron in Game 5. Today, we're going to separate marketing from math, tease apart image and evidence, and follow the breadcrumbs from the ad to the backlash to that Clippers logo that refuses to leave the frame. First, the temperature check. Nike tried to bottle destiny. Dramatic voiceover, orchestral strings, slow-motion glare into the middle distance. You know the formula. Chosen one. Never broke. Every rival defeated. It's the kind of narration that dares you to disagree. And people did. Immediately. Former opponents who lived those series pushed back, fans pulled receipts, and the conversation flipped from applause to audit. That's important because this isn't about nitpicking a commercial, it's about credibility. If the story you sell doesn't match the story we watched, the audience disengages. And once trust slips, every new image, every gym, every logo, every cryptic workout gets read like a clue in a mystery. If legacy is the treasure, consistency is the map. Let's start with the second strongest pillar, the numbers and the narrative colliding. 21 seasons, 4 championships. That's roughly a 19% ring rate. 10 finals appearances for wins, 6 losses. For a commercial to say, every rival defeated, when the record says otherwise, is bold. Not unforgivable, bold. It invites the exact forensic energy the ad received. Fans replayed Dallas in 2011. They revisited the Warriors' gauntlet. They pulled out the Spurs bookends. And that's before we even talk about the seasons that ended before June. The expectation the ad sold, dynastic, untouchable, inevitable, meets the reality we remember. Eras where someone else held the crown for most of the decade. The more the voiceover insisted on permanence, the more viewers reached for the timeline and said, walk me through it. Now the strongest pillar, the never broke claim, and why it detonated instantly. When Kevin Garnett, who was on the floor for that 2010 series, says, we broke LeBron in Game 5, that isn't trolling, that's testimony. Cleveland, home court, momentum bleeding out possession by possession. The Celtics didn't just win a game, they stripped the paint off the myth. And what happened after? A decision. Not in a quiet press release, not after a summer of vague reflection, but a televised leap to Miami. A move that changed the league and turbocharged the super team era. You can admire the choice, analyze the choice, even defend the choice. But you cannot call the player who left immediately after that loss never broken. The cause and effect is too clean. The expectation, iron will, unshakable loyalty, clashed with the reality, strategic relocation in search of a better hand. When a commercial erases the hinge moment of a career, the audience tugs on that hinge until it squeaks, and then there's the image that won't stop trending. The king getting his work in with the Clippers logo photobombing the grind. Intentional? Coincidental? Calculated? Maybe it's just a gym. Pros bounce around facilities all off-season. But context is a kingmaker. In a summer humming with whispers, Cleveland Redux? Laker fatigue? Pressure on the front office. Optics matter. Fans don't see a treadmill. They see a chessboard. They don't hear a dribble. They hear a negotiation. All of that because the brand machine has trained us to believe nothing around LeBron is accidental. So when the camera pans and that red, white, and blue insignia peaks in like a supporting character, people start storyboarding. If the ad subtext is throne secured, the workout subtext is doors open. Here's the big frame you can't ignore. How he won matters because the commercial told you why he won. Resolve, inevitability, solitary conquering force. The film didn't say talent plus team building plus timely relocation equals rings. It built a myth of total domination. But the path was never a solo climb. Miami was a coalition. Cleveland's second act came with Kyrie rising and Kevin Love inbound. Los Angeles was leverage plus Anthony Davis. That doesn't cheapen the trophies. Banners are banners. But it does contradict the script that claimed every rival was defeated. Many were joined. The reality? He mastered the modern front office dance as much as the game itself. That's savvy. That's power. But it isn't the fable the ad tried to print on a t-shirt. A quick pattern interrupt. Ask yourself, why declare forever king at 40? If the legacy is oxygen, why roll out the ventilator? Legends who feel secure usually let the work do the whispering. Jordan didn't hold town halls to announce 6 for 6. Duncan didn't narrate sonnets about stoic supremacy. Kobe didn't need a focus group to convince Laker fans he was built different. 2 decades in one uniform made the case nightly. The more you shout the word forever, the more people check the calendar. Let's step back into the room where this ad was born. You can almost see the whiteboard. Controversy equals engagement. Engagement equals metrics. Metrics equals sales. The copy leans into absolutes because absolutes travel. But absolutes are brittle. They invite the audience to look for the one counterexample that shatters the spell. Say, every rival was defeated, and the timeline immediately delivers rival after rival who is not. Say, never broke, and someone loads the tape from Boston, 2010. Say, forever king, and the standings, the ages, and the mileage on the odometer all clear their throat at once. It's not that the player isn't great, he is. It's that the commercial tried to flatten nuance into dogma, and the basketball community refuses to forget. Let's circle back to that workout, because it's the perfect Rorschach test for where this saga sits. If you're a Laker optimist, it's just geography, an open gym, a convenient time slot, nothing more. If you're reading tea leaves, it's leverage wearing a hoodie. It says, I have options. It says, make the moves, or I explore other zip codes. It says, don't mistake my silence for comfort. Remember, LeBron is more scrutinized than any player of his era. He knows a camera is always on somewhere. He knows logos are loud even when he's quiet. The fact that we're debating whether that clip was a message proves the point. Narratives are being managed in real time. Now, about the comparison game that Nike accidentally reignited. Dominance, the kind the voiceover promised, looks different when you panned across eras. Jordan went 6 for 6 without musical chairs. Duncan turned San Antonio into a monastery of winning. Kobe spent 20 seasons in one jersey, rode through turbulence, and still landed at 5. These are different routes up the same mountain, but they share a theme. The summit photos don't require captions. No one had to stamp Forever King under the banners. The rafters did the talking. By contrast, LeBron's path is the modern blueprint. Talent plus agency plus mobility. That's its own kind of mastery. It's just not the fairy tale of inevitable conquest that the ad insists on. And here's where the ad backfires into an unexpected gift. It forces us to define greatness with precision. Is it rings? Is it longevity? Is it the gravitational pull that changes teammates' tax brackets and front offices' calendars? LeBron's case is longevity plus peak, a career that bent the arc of the league for 2 decades. That's a monster resume, and it would have landed fine if the commercial had celebrated what's true instead of insisting on what isn't. Ironically, the backlash taught younger fans the very history the ad tried to blur. People revisited the 2011 finals. They dissected the Spurs' chess matches. They tracked the team changes and the context around each ring. The conversation got smarter because the copy got careless. Mini cliffhanger time. What if that was the real objective? Not the myth, but the murmurs. Let's tighten the camera on the human at the center of this. Great players reinvent. They edit. They adapt. If there's a version of LeBron's story that doesn't fray under inspection, it's not the marble statue, it's the Swiss Army knife. The kid from Akron who morphed into the league's ultimate problem solver. Point forward savant. Offensive coordinator who happens to still put up 30. The first superstar to treat cap sheets like pick and rolls. That framing doesn't need, never broke. It admits the breaks, the pivots, the recalculations. It respects the struggle instead of pretending the struggle didn't happen. It's less royal decree, more epic saga, which brings us back, one last time, to that logo in the gym. Is it an exit sign? A leverage play? A bored Wednesday with convenient parking? Whatever it is, it reminds the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Cavaliers whisper machine of a simple truth. Expectation versus reality is the currency of modern sports storytelling. Expect a coronation, get a negotiation. Expect a forever throne, get a fresh round of chess. Expect obedient silence, get a silent signal. The smartest front office in the room won't fall for a commercial. It will prepare for a move. Here's where I land. The Nike spot isn't evil, it's insecure. It isn't legacy, it's liability insurance. It took a career that's already a first ballot lock and tried to laminate it with mythology it didn't need. And the audience, sharper than the storyboard gave them credit for, noticed. Greatness doesn't evaporate because a line was overcooked, but it does shine brighter when the story matches the film. If you measure dominance by finals math, the numbers speak. If you measure it by longevity and control of the ecosystem, the numbers speak. Either way, they don't need a megaphone as, oh, here's my soft landing and my hard truth. Believe your eyes more than the echo. Celebrate what's real. Challenge what's rewritten. If the crown belongs, it will survive the fact check. And if this saga keeps twisting, new ads, new gyms, new hints, new handshakes, you know where to find me because we're going to follow every breadcrumb until the narrative finally agrees with the game.